Good morning. You're watching Morning at NTV, and it's time to take note. I think I should be very passionate about this subject we're discussing because a few weeks back I hosted an actress who had said that the struggles is the fact that there's no structure. That's the word we used, structure, in the entertainment industry, whether it be film, music, and said because of that, a lot is left there, dangling. You're not sure where you're going. And if you can't have structures, structures show you where you've come from, where you are, and where you could potentially go. There's the US Envoy 2018 that is happening this morning. But joining me to discuss a few things about the industry generally, and since the topic today that I'll be discussing will be copyright, also how do we get to those laws and what has been done, what can be done, is Dick Matovu, the compliance manager for the Uganda Performing Rights Society. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you.
I think I have to say it's a pleasure to host you because just in the few minutes we've had a discussion off air, I feel like you could add so much value to this industry. You probably have already added value, by the way, because you started performing in the 80s.
Not the 80s.
Even before that.
70s.
70s.
I was a schoolboy.
Yes. And what were you doing then?
No, there used to be nurturing programs by which you could find primary schools, secondary schools having annual school festivals, competitions whereby schools could compete, trying to identify talented individuals for the sake of promoting the industry.
When I was in Chisubi back in the 90s, we're that old,
Yes.
okay, or young, there used to be a choir.
Yes.
That would come, I think, once every year. Saint Balikudembe.
Yeah. Yes. Saint Balikudembe.
You know. And Webayimba, okay.
It was.
Lined
here we are
well,
now.
you know, and I don't know whatever happened to Saint Balikudembe's choir, but
No.
it was admirable.
That is part of nature because in what we take to be talents, there is always a graph. Whether you're a footballer, a boxer, a musician, make sure you utilize your graph effectively because the graph has a climax.
So tell us about that graph. It starts
from the beginning, where you are identified or where
home,
you can
school.
Just like that, gradually you go through series, like say in music, you start practicing or coming up with some simple pieces. Thereafter, you may identify a group. Formerly, we had groups, bands, like these Gadonkamu groups. There, you could join a group. You are an amateur. Gradually, you gain practice of the whole essence. You go into studio recording. You publish your music. Like that, until you happen to get to the hit that can take you up to a graph going up.
Dick, tell me about not skipping any phase in this graph.
Well, there are
because nowadays, you know, young people want to get
there are some
from 1 to 10.
Talented to an extent that you could skip a step.
Okay.
I give an example of the late Paul Kafero. He started from scratch. Some of his beginnings were within my hands because I started dealing with him, Kafero, when he was 19 and a half years. But
Paul Kafero had something about him.
And he had an inborn talent. And for your information, over 93% of the Ugandan practicing artists are practicing by virtue of their inborn talent.
Inborn talent.
And it is just less than 2% of the practicing artists who are practicing from the formal skills of the industry. Because you will find in the entire Uganda we have only Makerere University having our formerly used to be Musiru Daladala.
MDD.
That's where we had our chances and people could do. Can you imagine somebody graduating from MDD previously could even
Bobby Wine. Now
no, forget about Bobby. For me, I am one of the products of MDD.
Okay.
With the late Joseph Olgembe, Stephen Rwanjezi, Moses Katenda, and the like, Regina Mutonyi. Those were our years.
And you can see the impact as well.
That was in 1986, 87, around that time. So you could imagine somebody could go into that. At the end of the day today, they are the few ones. But these days, whoever comes in is a gambling game. Others just come trying hit and run. Others are just copycats.
It's commercialized now, Dick.
The entire thing lies behind the little care taken by government to make sure that they nurture the entire industry, because it is a booming, promising industry. And for your information, there was a research conducted between 1998 to 1999, sponsored or funded by UNESCO. It was a global research asking from 200 to 235, what is the potential basic industry that will provide employment and income growth?
And the answer?
The answer was found to be creative industry.
Wow.
Can you imagine? In USA, they said, yes, for us, we have taken time and trouble to find that this industry is contributing over 4.5% to our GDP.
But what makes the creative industry that spark?
Anyway, it has...
It's ever growing?
Yeah, it is ever growing. And there is what we call value chain.
Okay.
For example, we have what we call music value chain.
Yes.
If it is put into details, you will find that from a single person composing a song to a time you will find a hawker hawking that music piece. There is a chain of job distribution to over 25 different individuals.
Yes.
Same applies to film. Say, for example, let me take my friend Haji Asrafu Simogerere. He comes up with a film script. It will involve at least 30 to 50 actors as a film cast.
Yes.
It will involve producers, directors,
photography,
photographers, and apart from that, costume designers.
Yes.
Fuel to transport these people
Catering.
to different sceneries.
Makeup.
Everything. And once they are there, they eat, so it is a job creating chain.
It is.
And you find the entire world is changing. We are changing from traditional workshops, seminars, conferences, symposiums, to what we take to be community or citizenry participatory engagement.
Yes.
How can you mobilize people to come? Then if they have come, how do you engage them to make sure that you have delivered your message to them? The best effective way these days is through entertainment.
Edutainment, yes.
Now, there you are. If it is the case, what effort has the government put in place to make that they are nurturing?
Let me ask you, so you told me that you decided to, was it leave practicing the art itself and went into studying?
Not studying as such, because time came when I realized I had some colleagues and friends like one of the gentlemen who is now in USA, Christopher Ntalumba. He was the former house manager at National Theatre.
Yes.
We had some good discussions, and he was the one who mentored me to go to MDD. And some other colleagues who said, but by the way, there is a need to professionalize in administering the industry.
Yes.
So I
like
started
that.
going into administering by specializing in unionism, togetherness.
Yes.
Because you will find globally there is a global trend of collective bargaining. Now, if it is the musicians, by then in the 1980s and 90s, we had groups and bands like the Afrigo Band, Matendo Group, Lukwata Guitar Singers, the Eagles Production, like that. They were not so going practicing like the case is today. People had to be in groups. And it was in these groups that they needed collective bargaining power, such that...
What are we charging?
Forget about what we are charging. How are we treated in this group? How are we remunerated? How are we treated? How is
what are the standards of operation?
How is the contract for a public performance?
Yes.
Like now we have event organizers like Baram. He's now going to engage so and so under what terms and conditions?
Yes, yes.
Apart from that...
And they used to have this?
We used to have it. And can you imagine in the 1980s and early 90s, there could hardly be a group that could start performing without being scrutinized by the lead organization.
Really?
To make sure that you are not going to cheat the audience. To make sure
Also,
that
even that was put in mind.
Definitely.
Okay.
And we had some booking discipline. Don't go to that place because so and so has booked somewhere nearby. Don't try to interrupt.
Unnecessary
Don't
competition. Yes.
Definitely.
Wow.
So we had some good arrangements because by the early 90s and the late 70s, we had UTIGA, which was the
umbrella organization
for drama groups.
Okay.
It was so well organized, and by then we had district culture officers. A group moving from Kampala to Uganda perform or stage a play in Mbale,
yes,
you had to make advance arrangements with the culture officer in Mbale.
Seems like you had a well-oiled machine, honestly.
Yes. You could hardly go to Masaka for a performance without being cleared by the district culture officer.
But Dick, do you think it's because you had less people in the business?
Forget about the audience.
Yeah.
By then we had over 300 independent drama groups performing, but they were all well disciplined. We knew what we were doing, how the groups were moving.
So what changed?
The entire thing is, what can I use? Because time came when the culture officers were perished off. I don't know how they... And now instead of culture officers, you can hear of community development officers.
Agents, do we also have that?
And again, there was a problem.
Yes.
We had a full-fledged ministry for culture and sports. But here we are now. Instead of a full-fledged ministry, we have a department for culture and family affairs.
You kept saying government, and I know today is the Arts Forum, the Arts Envoy 2018. A couple of events that are happening, but there's one at 9 a.m. this morning at the Square, and the discussion is around copyright and how to earn from your art. Yes. Now, Dick, I want to separate these two. Help me understand, because when we discuss copyright, it's another discussion.
Definitely.
And how to earn from your art is also another discussion. Because if there's copyright, there's a way to protect your art. But also earning, I think, because of the new generation, do you see how you've just described that well-oiled machine of how you knew not to even cheat the audience.
Yes.
So you couldn't give substandard performances.
Definitely.
Which means there was rehearsal, training, and all sorts of things.
And
who's in your group?
A could I take it to be a censorship mechanism whereby you couldn't just go with the vulgar music?
Some material could not be, yes.
Even the costume dress-up, you couldn't just go naked on stage the way they
just
are
to
doing
perform.
It to this
So because of that, I feel like people were able to actually earn from their art, because
yes.
Now someone is in a band but thinks, I'm not able to earn. But I feel like it's because of a lack of those systems, Dick, that people are not able to earn from their art. So I want us to first separate these two. Let's start with copyright.
Before I separate, let me just give a hint to what you have just said. Things are falling apart.
Yeah.
Like the literature used to be. And for your information, Chenwa Chibe was one of my best writers during my school days. Things are falling apart simply because the government has taken its role and responsibility. They have not regulated the industry the way the other countries are doing.
But the government might complain that the artists have not organized themselves.
Let me give an example.
Please.
We were all that much organized all the way from 1970s until things started scrambling.
And falling apart.
Why are they falling apart is the first question. Don't you know that some politics behind this industry is to keep us divided as a means of avoiding the threat from the industry at any political angles?
So divide and rule.
Now, can you imagine if there is an event being organized by the government? The government technocrats just identify an individual instead of going through the normal channel of telling, say, Federation of Performing Artists, can you identify and recommend so and so to come and do this and this? But here they are. They just go behind doors.
Because you book directly now.
And at the end of the day, they say, you are disorganized. Yet they are the people disorganizing us. Instead of nurturing us. No, I give another example. By 2003, I had traveled to Cameroon to attend the African Federation of Musicians Unions. There I happened to meet some colleagues from Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, Namibia, who were telling me of their home regulatory framework.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I realized that, oh, we don't have an act relating to entertainment. And apart from the act, there should be regulations regulating the industry. Coming back, I tried to make some research. I found we have in Uganda, as of today, right now, the current standing law relating to entertainment is called it is called Stage Plays and Public Entertainment Act of 1943.
I'm told you're one of those people who's advocated for revisions.
Now,
on this one.
I am one of the few people who took time and trouble. By 2003, I borrowed a leaf from Ghana and Cameroon. We drafted what we proposed to be temporary regulations regulating the entertainment industry. We discussed a lot with by then, the acting commissioner of culture was Mr. Omaro Kurutu.
What was the success or lack of?
We tried to push on, but unfortunately, by 2014, by the time we were getting promised, there came in the political campaigns for 2005. And everything was dumped. Since then, we have been trying, and in 2011 or 2012, we tried to come up again with the same thing.
Yes.
But we were grumbled down by the individual artists, and a big audience was at the National Theatre.
I saw that.
They were on our necks saying, you person,
you are the problem.
Benoni Chibuka, James Wasura, and you are trying to... They want to live a wildlife sort of style, their things.
Let me ask you, see, be at the square this morning. It's on 3rd Street Industrial Area, and it starts from 9 a.m. to 1. It's actually free entry. And I think based on this discussion, that Dick part of his passionate, it's going to be quite interesting. But I need, before we really run out of time, what is existing as far as copyright is concerned?
Copyright? Again, as we have just said, I was one of the advocates who maneuvered for over 20 years, from 1993 till 2006, when the new act was enacted, because we had a Copyright Act of 1964, which was amended in 2006.
Okay.
After having been done, some of us had taken, a few of us, about two, had taken professional training in what we call copyright management.
Okay, so what's existing?
Now what is existing is that through Uganda Performing Rights Society, we are establishing and we are putting on ground a professional system of copyright management, through which different rights holders, because in what we normally call copyright, there are different segments of rights. For example, we have the title of the law. It is copyright and neighboring rights. In some countries, they say related rights instead of neighboring rights. Now, when it comes to copyright, who are the rightful people to claim copyright
of this product?
And in a musical work, we take a copyright to be the musical content, which belongs to the composer or the songwriter, or like that. And apart from the composer, there is another component of a publisher who claims a part of a percentage from that musical part of it. Now the second part of it is what we call the sound recording, because imagine if you composed your work. It is within your head. But turning it into a music piece that can be airplayed.
You have someone who actually
there is a process of recording a sound of your composition.
So there's also copyright on that.
That sound recording is basically among the producers and the performers who perform. And you'll find some people who claim to be musicians or copyright owners, they are just performers. I give an example of some individuals who just perform compositions which are composed by some other individuals.
Yeah.
So the two different segments together are managed. And what we are doing according to the law, we have to license different categories of people using those pieces of music.
Yes.
And that's what we call licensing. And whatever is collected from there is distributed
evenly as it is stated.
Not evenly.
No, because, okay, as it is slated, if you have your 20%, if I have my 10%, yes.
That is it.
But so we're discussing the Arts Envoy 2018 this morning, 9 a.m., just in a few minutes, until 1 o'clock. It's free entry. It's at the Square, an industrial area. And if you're in arts covers a whole spectrum, as you've had. Dick Motov has been discussing musicians, then you went to film, and but I'm assuming even people who do art as in drawing also.
Copyright covers a lot because you, even if it were you people here, part of what you are doing is what we call intellectual creation. The intellectual creativity is where the essence
I think that the tough part is picking out what I'm doing today, what I need to protect.
Yes.
Because I think that's also another. But I don't want to finish the soup in this discussion because people have to find you at the Square, and I don't want them to miss. Yes. You're seeing a face. How are you, Anne?
I'm well, thanks. How
You're
are you?
good.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Morning.
Anne Whitehead.
Yes.
In this capacity of the Arts Envoy 2018, what are we saying? You are
communications. I'm helping with communications.
Communications.
Yes.
Yes, so it feels like this is a discussion that's going to be heated today because we're just touching pieces of it. I'm unhappy that we just have about 5 minutes to wrap this because I'm saying, what? But this is why people need to go to the Square because you're going to be part of a panel.
Not only a panel, I'm just going to give a presentation.
There you go, there you go. So please, that's Uganda Performing Rights Society. Dick Motov is a compliance manager. So this is somebody you need to really get information from. And as I stated, some of you might have a talent and you're creating something, but you don't know which part of all of that is intellectual property.
And again, you don't know your rights. What are you
entitled to?
That's true, yes. And how do you anticipate to get remunerated from the exploitation of your rights?
Yes.
Or your creation?
I'm going to attend this one.
A copyright is a private liability which belongs and is owned by the creator.
Telling you. So, and let's just get into what this is before we let you both go.
Sure.
What it is, where it started, what events are surrounding this, please.
Yeah, well, this is all part of a cultural exchange between the U.S. Mission Uganda and Breakdance Project Uganda here in Uganda. They've partnered for a series of events, which is a bunch of workshops about how to professionalize yourself as an artist, how to promote yourself, how to take care of yourself, and copyright and how to earn out of your art is a very important part of that as well. So we're lucky that in this cultural exchange, we're both learning now.
Yes.
So there's three artists. They make up a group called Rhyme Like a Girl. They're rap artists who are coming from the States.
Yes.
And they're doing a bunch of teaching here, but they're also learning from people like Dick Matovu and the Uganda Performing Rights Society about what's going on here in Uganda. So today at the Square, starting at 9 and just going until 1 p.m., is going to be a discussion with Dick, as well as, you know, Silver Chagulani?
Yes,
he's a composer
now
and
a lawyer.
artist. Yeah, exactly. Yes. He's now a lawyer, and he's actually specializing in this. So he will be giving a presentation as well. Richard Coessa will be there as well. And we'll have people from the embassy and, of course, the local industry. And then after today, we're going to have a couple more workshops, and then there's a concert, a free concert at YMCA on Saturday.
Arts had to end up in a concert.
Yes.
Where, YMCA?
Yeah, YMCA.
This is not today?
No, on Saturday at 7 p.m. It's free, and there's going to be a lot of great hip-hop there, so I think it'll be a great, again, artist exchange for the Americans and the Ugandans to be together on stage.
Okay, fantastic. And as wind up, just so you know, you might be looking at the poster going like, Yes, it's high time you start to learn that the arts industry in Uganda is not owned by 3-4 people, it's not operated by 3-4 people, or the top 6 guys. There's a lot of good talent, and so I think YMCA, you said the date is?
Saturday.
Well, it's Saturday,
the 11th,
so it's free, so there's no excuse for you to not come and actually see. But I think start with this morning and get part of this interesting conversation I just had with Dick Matovu and more. And I like it when people in our industry go back and learn. go and study and come and give us real
And for
facts.
your information, can you imagine if you went to USA, these days they are changing some of the professional ethics. Politicians must go in for a training period such that they get the performing arts skills as to as to enable them present whatever they need to. That is public presentation and all the rest.
I beg that you come back another
And,
day and we have a good 30
I
minutes.
wish you could take time and trouble to venture into the performing arts because
Yes.
you are talented and I can identify some more indicators.
I
of-
receive it.
So Flavia, come with us
I
to the
receive
square,
it.
the industrial area, and we'll teach you all about
So
it.
Dick Matavu, who's the compliance manager at the Uganda Performing Rights Society, just said he can feel it that I have a talent, and I think I'll start there. That's it for Take Note. Have a good morning.